Sure. This film is called Slumber Still Out of Light, and I call it the next chapter because I think it's a standalone film in this Slumber series, and it's an ongoing saga about sleep paralysis, which is a condition which millions of people go through where they wake up with the sensation they cannot move, and a lot of times they feel like a presence around them. So the whole series has to do with that. And of course we tied all these little supernatural elements into it. And this movie, I think we did, right? I think we accomplished having a lot of linkage. I call it linkage, in which ties things together to the first movie. So the first movie, Slumber Still, was a person going through sleep paralysis and whatever else is going around with them, he's dealing with it in a physical way. He's a cop, so he's very physical. In Out of Light, the person is very spiritual. Her name is Mira, so we have a female lead, and she is dealing with prayer and faith and all that. And you just try to see all these layers of connection to the first movie as she's dealing with sleep paralysis and this whole other scope of stuff that's going on with her. So I think I got it. I think I got it. I got it. I'm British. We're not British. We're from New York.
What we did this time, which we didn't really do so much last time, Kevin, was Patrick was director, first and foremost, and I was doing more the videography work, so the DP, if you will. And what was interesting about it was we spoke ahead of time, and he said, I'm going to deal with all the actors, with all the performance-wise, the intent, and dealing with that in the script. And I was just really framing the shots. I was trying to get creative, and we had spoken about we want to get a little bit more adventurous with the second movie as opposed to the first. Like we did a lot of stationary shots in the first, pans and post. In this one, we wanted a very voyeuristic approach, and also we wanted, I said I really want to use mirrors as this, which is the real world or the real perspective that, like, it's all based about the perspective, and in this case, perspective of mirror. So
our name is Mira, and we use mirrors.
Aha, yes.
See how clever we are? We're brilliant.
So we were doing that. So what was really interesting because of that dynamic and what he was dealing with on set, I wasn't really focusing on the performance of all the actors. I trusted that it would be there in the editing room. So I had also was editing this movie, and that's when I saw the performances, and I was like blown away by all the actors. I was like, wow, that was really good. Like I would like rewind, play it again. Like wow. So that was really interesting as opposed to last time. Neither of us did the editing. It was edited by my sister, actually, Jackie. So that was the difference in this movie.
And it really fit. It really connect. We always work really, really well together. But this one we sort of had the niches because he had such a beautiful vision for the videography. And so he was working with everyone. And I was telling somebody else, I'm like, yeah, we're doing this shot. I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful shot. And then it'll pan away, and we're like, oh my God, it was in a mirror the entire time, and then it would show the real, and I'm like, how did that happen? I didn't even realize that happened. So it really worked well. We spent a lot of time communicating and all that. And I think what really helped us is that we rehearsed and blocked. We intensely did that.
Yeah.
And he came in as a director of photography, and even with, all right, the camera's gonna go this way, but you guys go that way. So everyone sort of knew before we even got on location. When we were ready, when we called action, everyone sort of knew what was going to happen because we sort of broke it down. And I think that really helped us because we had very long, intricate takes and all that with the cameras doing all that. And I think having the rehearsal, I think is always good for actors. I think actors need that. I think a lot of times with film, some people are like, well, it's film, so if you mess up, you can do another take and you can do all these. But to get the arc of the performances and all that. And all that, and I think the actors always appreciate it. And as a director, for me, I'm just like, can we rehearse? Let's go through it a couple of times, way before we even start shooting. So I think that really helped us, the fact that we brought in videography into the rehearsal process.
Yeah, so we had that theater approach where if there was only a 2-character scene, we knew what what I would be doing coming in with the camera work as a third actor, pretty much. So they would know, okay, after this line, Michael's gonna swipe right across, so it was a lot of that. So there was no surprises when we actually got to location that we had to rent out.
Well, there's always maybe a couple of surprises. We're like,
Well, of course.
oh, none of the lights are working right now, and we see, oh no, we did that pan, and we see the wire running across for the lights in the entire shot, and damn it, we didn't pick up on that. But that really enhanced it, and we just we use that same approach with the third movie. It's a trilogy. So Slumber Still Out of Light, and the third movie is Slumber Still Dawn of Showers, which we just finished shooting. And we're going to hopefully be back at something wicked with that in the year. But we utilize that same approach with a lot of rehearsal, knowing what the videography is. That was more difficult because this guy was in front of the camera as well. In the third,
yeah.
I mean, in this movie he's a little bit. In the third movie he's the lead actor, so it's sort of like he has to set everything up. This is what I want for videography, and then I'm like, okay, this is director-wise, and we made it work. I was saying before, it's like, in the first movie, the lead character is dealing with it. He's a cop. He's physical. He's like, that's how he deals with everything. So we sort of wanted to, so how else would someone else do it if someone doesn't come to that approach? So actually mind, body, soul. So we had someone deal it with the body, and in this movie, in the second one, it's the soul, it's the spirituality approach to it. In the third movie, it's actually a very intellectual approach to dealing with the situation. So you have three it's a trinity, right? It's the holy trinity of mind, body, soul in a way. But that was the whole inspiration. So we went with, having a strong male character that we wanted, a strong female character who dealt with it a different way, and then a completely different person in the third movie. So that was our motivation for it. So on set for the first movie, we're saying this is a great way how he's dealing with it. You know what? We can explore another perspective, and how that person. And that's so from the first movie, we sort of knew we wanted mind, body, soul. We wanted the spirit, the body, and just like psyche. Try to deal with all that. So it's great seeing it come to fruition too. As a writer, it really helped me. I even think shooting it, right? It sort of helped, like setting up the set in the second movie was just like, all right, this is a very spiritual person. We need to have certain things on set to establish that. Same thing with the third movie. It's just like, oh, we need more books. He's researching stuff. So that really, and it helped us. I think it sort of helped us. It sort of kept us on a trajectory that we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Like a thread that sort of kept on pulling. Yep, we need to have that. We need to have that. We need to have that.
Is all connected with all these characters that he brilliantly linked. But without giving any spoilers away, I can't wait. Out of Light, there's that callbacks to. Well, we have Ma in the first one, played by Kathy Bowles, Ethan and Ma. She has a different character name. It's Mrs. Wilson.
But it's the same character.
But it's the same character because she's first mentioned when Mudge mentions her in the beginning of Out of Light. How, Mrs. Wilson, yeah, I gave you another client. And so the audience, if they know the first one, they don't go, oh, that's Ma, right away until they see her. And now she's big-haired and a little crazy-eyed, which Kathy did such a great job balancing this. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but like bouncing back and forth between playing victim and the aggressor, and that throughout the movie where she would just turn on a dime, and we loved that.
So that was the one thing that we wanted to, loose ends. We sort of wanted, I sort of like, I love when people have questions about movies, like everything is not answered because you're the viewer, what do you think? So sometimes people would ask me questions and I'll be like, so what do you think? So like after the first movie, everyone's like, oh, so is Ethan dead? I don't know, what do you think? What happened to Ethan? Was he in a, permanent state of sleep paralysis? Ooh, maybe, you don't know. I sort of, but the one thing is like for the characters, I wanted to make the characters really rich. So this family history really gets built up in the second movie. You're feeling more in the second movie. And in the third movie. Can't wait for you to see that one, Kevin, because it's all tied together and all that. And To the point that it's just like, I'm like, oh, I forgot that. Yeah, we got to put this in there to tie that in together. So we put it, yeah, I think it's all tied up, but it still has that element of like, the story can still go on. Yeah, when we screened the second movie, we screened it in the theater, you know, in New York, and we put the two of them together, you know, and I think a lot of people appreciated that, because that was what we were debating, like, can people sort of follow it? A lot of people saying, a lot of people just saw the second movie and they didn't have a lot of questions, but then they sort of like, oh, I want to see where it all started from. For us, it's almost like, because Slumber Still was sort of like such an enriching experience, but it was very educational. We learned a lot, and what we learned we sort of applied in the second movie and definitely in the third movie. So I sort of feel like a great amount of growth in each movie. But what you said about sleep paralysis, more and more people come up to us and say, I've experienced it. More like, if we're in a group of 5 people, at least one person every 5 in that group is like saying, I've had that. You know, we were, you know, at the opening ceremonies yesterday, and this one was like, I had that experience, and I felt this. So it was really, it's very exciting, because I think it's, before I made these movies, I never heard of it. He's experienced it, I never heard of it. So now it's just sort of like, someone says sleep paralysis, it's like, I know what you're talking about, you know? I think, I mean, there's always a possibility. I think we always had the trilogy in our minds, right? And particularly this, and this is actually a prequel that sort of starts the story, so everyone sort of knows beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, the next one, the third one's a prequel, yeah.
I think anything's possible. Joking around, I'm like, hey, I sort of have an idea. There's one part of the family we haven't really explored that's going on with this person that's mentioned in pretty much all 3 movies, but that's it. Like, you know, this one character is finally seen in the third movie a little bit, but you don't hear anything more. So, of course, my mind is, Michael, we could do this to this. And he's like, oh my God, enough of the sleep paralysis. He's like, experience it, that's it. But I think that's a good thing as any artist, is sort of to know, you know what? I think I explored this. I think we brought it to where it needs to go, and maybe look into other things. And then who knows, coming back into it. It's just, you know, you always see these things, it's just like, you know, oh, this is the 13th sequel to this series. And it's like, maybe you don't need that many. Maybe it's sort of morphs it. To the point like the sequels then, they sort of like, all right, this next sequel, we're going back to the very first movie, Halloween, and change the last 20 years of sequels, or 25 years of sequels, because we want to go back and explore this, which worked. I love that series.
I was going to say, you loved it.
I loved it. I love it, but it's sort of like, all right, so, you know, I know if as a writer, I'd be like, I don't want to alter things, but, so I think you sort of have to need to know when it's time to, like, this is great. We were talking, like, we would love to do, like, other type of movie. You know, we would love to maybe do a full-fledged comedy or a drama or something like that. You know, a love movie or something, romance or something, rather than, because everyone's just like, oh, Echo Light, oh, you want to scare the hell out of us. No, we don't want to. Yeah. I actually had somebody, because, you know, a lot of our theatrical productions that we also do are more comical love stories, very touching. So someone who saw the movie and very always supportive, she's like, Patrick, I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to like scare me. I like the other stuff. It's like, this one I'm doing this. So as a horror movie guy, we're like, yes, you have to hide, you know, we watch between the fingers. But then she's like, and I'm like, well, we have a lot of different dimensions we like to explore. So I always appreciated movies and all that. I was never any type of movie maker. Never. I wrote plays and directed plays, and that was my foundation. We actually did a play that was opening in Manhattan, and we had to put trailers together and all that. So Michael and someone else who came in who had film experience and all that, they came in, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. So now I think more about this than the other piece, you know. So it's sort of like, I might have to step back to the theater, and he's like, you know, wait, let's retake that, you know, let's get another angle from this theater, you know. So it is, for me, it was a different state, but now I love it. It's sort of like, I almost think in those more of that than I think of my foundation. So it's very interesting. So that's all because of him. That was sort of normal because of him. And now, every time I see everything, I'm like, you know, that's a great shot. Like, we'll see a car driving by and there's a sunset. Michael, that's a great shot. It's real life. There's almost a car accident, but I don't care. That's a great shot, you know. So that's how I see the world now. See what you did to me? Yes, you warped my brain. Kevin agrees. You know, what is Spielberg's like, I make the kind of movies I want to see. You know, maybe a rail doesn't want to see, I want to see that. So for me, it's just like, I want to, you know, make something that definitely moves the audience in some way, whether it frightens them, makes them laugh, you know, has some sort of impact with them. But usually it's some sort of story that I want to get out, or, you know, I got to get the story out there. That really is my motivation. And I have images in my head. I got to get these images out of my head, because that's how when I write, that's how I saw, you know, I see how it would play out in my mind. So, you know, so when I direct, it's just like, no, in, you know, my mind, I see the character this way, that way, that way. So for me, it's like putting out a story that I sort of need to get out there for whatever reason. Of course, impacting an audience is the reward, but that's my motivation, you know, owning your truth as an artist, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you know, going back to what you said before, Kevin, you asked, like, what were some of the roles that we did this time, and some of the other differences with this movie was the last one we shot with 3 or 4 different camera types, which made it a little bit harder in the editing room, which I'm sure you know, right? The editing software was iMovie in the first movie. The second, Out of Light, we shot completely on the iPhone X. That was all the iPhone. And I love your reaction right now, because it was really great. Like, visually, it worked. So we had made a decision. I said, I think we could do this whole thing with the iPhone X, which was brand new at the time. It came out. And we also edited this with Adobe Premiere Pro. So there was, the editing software was different, and what we were shooting on was different. And what made it hard, very challenging, was not having a monitor other than seeing through the phone, and transferring the files from the phone to the computer. When we filmed the first day, the very first day, something we didn't anticipate was it was taking forever. The connection from the phone to that white wire, the USB connection to the computer, it was taking for like one video file like 15 minutes to transfer.
The resolution is so, people don't realize, I think with the iPhone, the resolution is so high that it takes a lot to get it from one location to another. So that was.
So we had to outsource. I had to purchase an external USB to iPhone connector. So it would go right from the iPhone to the USB drive that goes into the computer. And it didn't stop there. We got a whole bunch of accessories for it, which I actually loved. There was a stabilizer we got where, so we're walking around with this, it looked like this U-shaped horseshoe thing. It has a mic attached to the top, and this harness, so it stabilized it. And the mic plug goes into the phone. We got lights. There was a light attachment to the top. So we would buy all these different accessories for it.
He was like a kid at Christmas morning. I kid you not. I would get like, guess what I got? You know, and I would get like, okay, you know, and he would get so excited, and he's just like, you know, unwrapping a present. He's like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. He gets so excited with all these little attachments and all that. But really, and that's the thing, technology is making it easier for filmmakers. Thank God, because, you know, indie, I always say indie is equal to poor. You know, can't really have big budgets. But technology, like this microphone that connected in that, it was so sensitive, right? Like we had to be careful, like you can catch a bug flying across the room if you didn't have to watch the levels that well.
It distorted a lot. It was for further distances, so a lot of times we had it on, we didn't realize it.
Yeah, so someone talks, and which is great for a horror movie maybe, but if you want a dialogue, it wouldn't be that great. So technology makes it so much easier. But yes, the entire thing in the iPhone, and actually the reason what inspired us is in Slumber Still, one of our favorite shots is when Ethan is walking on the beach. I don't know if you remember, he's walking on the beach and he skips a rock and all that. That part was shot with the iPhone. And for us, that was like one of the most beautiful shots.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow.
And that was the iPhone 6.
Right.
That one, so, or,
yeah,
that was 6. So it looks even better now. You adjusted on the settings to 4K, 60 frames per second. And so the resolution was great. And we wanted to preserve that quality as we transferred it. So that was our biggest challenge at first, and then more challenges followed. But so every single frame you see is the iPhone.
Well, that's why like we can't wait to see it, you know, our screening tomorrow, because it looks great on the big screen. Like you don't realize how well it relates to like these bigger screens and all that. Like we were just saying, like you watch some of these older movies and all that, and now with all the HD TVs and stuff, you watch it and it's like it looks, you can't compete, you know. But with the iPhone, it's right there. The third movie we use the iPhone as well, and that one we use the XR. So and that one, it has really special little features, like you know, like you don't need to buy like effects or whatever because it's almost built in. Same issue though with transferring the files. Like the files are so big because the resolution is so high. It was like in the first, what was it, in the first day?
We burned for it. We went through four iPhones.
Four iPhones the first day because we didn't have time to transfer because we were shooting. And it's like, this phone's done. That phone's done. That phone's done.
I mean, we're talking about, what is it, 256 gig, like the top, you know, the memory, or 356, whatever it is, I forget. And we were still burning it because we have a lot of pre-roll with it, and we like to have that. Sometimes we get some great stuff in the pre-roll, some reaction shots, or, you know, like we're rolling, but we're still getting everything set. Those extra 30, 45 seconds for every file, for every clip,
it could be a gem in it.
It could be a gem, but in this one, we were eating through the memory so fast. So we're like, we got to do something. So like, we're up trying to transfer these files. It's 4 in the morning.
There was one that I stayed up the end because I'm like, we have to shoot. We got to free up one of our cameras. I made the sacrifice. I stayed up the entire night, transferring. Showed up the next morning, and it was time to, all right, shoot a whole day with like 15 different actors and actresses coming in, and yeah, I think I stayed up like a 36
You
hours
did. You
straight.
said, you know what, you at your big scene tomorrow, you should get the 4 hours sleep, and I'll.
Yeah,
I'll
you get the 4 hours. You had to act. You had to look pretty.
Call times at 8. I
You
was
had-
sleeping at 4, and he was
you
transferring.
had to look prettier than I did.
Yeah, the next one.
He's like an editing guru now at this point because
I like problem solving, so it's good.
first of all, he don't get his full head, but director of photography, he comes in. He has like I was a director has a vision. He comes in what he wants to, and we collaborate brilliantly. But with the editing, he is meticulous. Like if you know, he keeps on going. Like but like no one's gonna notice a damn light in the microwave because they'll think it's a firefly flying. If there is, I said I watched it 8 times. I didn't see it, but he saw it, and I said, you know what? Then you got to keep at it.
I wouldn't be able to watch the movie.
You wouldn't be able to watch it.
Every time I'd be like, this scene again.
He'll cringe and do that. So, you know, every little thing. He researching it, this trial and error, like filtering it, and you know, finding the color filters and all that. I mean, he made scenes that were shot in the bright of day look like it was shot at night. I mean, it was just amazing what he did. So,
Well, thank you.
anyone needs help with editing, I'm telling you, this guy is. I was telling him, I was like, you know what? You should relocate to Georgia. You'll make probably a lot of money because that's the thing. A lot of people have trouble with editing. They don't realize what goes into it. Shooting it is the most time goes into post-production with the editing and all that. So at one point I'm like, and we work with children, which are great, but we work with a lot of different children. So it's just like, okay, she's not cranky right now. We're changing her. I'm going to shoot with this person. Can you set that stage? No, don't eat. You know, that's the thing. Like
Energy levels.
Energy levels. It's like, you got to get it, you know, up there. But I'm also thinking like.
5 to 8 year olds
setting up
talking about.
Right, we're shooting in one area and then we're going to come right back and shoot in this area. And funniest thing with the third movie though is like there's a breakfast scene, people are eating. Actors are coming in and they're taking the food off. So they're like, no, there's supposed to be 15 waffles. Now there's 3. One of the actors, he's eating. He just loved young actors. He loved the waffles so much. But I'm like, okay. So he kept on getting more. I'm like, okay, you need more because we're going back to when you start eating and you had a full plate. And it's just, I'm like, don't eat it yet. You know, it was.
You should tell this one again
for the third movie. Yes. Well, for the third movie. But that's the thing with the director. You have to cover everything from like the set, and everyone's asking questions about. My thing is wardrobe is not my strong point. Patrick, what do you think about this? I think it looks good. I might have a vague idea, but I'm not meticulous about costuming and outfits and all that. If an actor feels like it fits their character and it's in my vision, you know, in my scope of what I was imagining, go for it. You know, I like giving them that freedom. But I know other directors are sort of like, you know, so it's just. you have to cover everything, right? It's difficult. It's like,
One of my favorite things is that when Patrick wrote Mudge coming to life for the second movie, for Out of Light, because you hear him mentioned briefly as Ethan's partner in the first movie. He's on the phone with him. You see that they have a relationship. So to start, the idea to start the Out of Light movie in this dream sequence of, or memory of Ethan and Mudge as partners, you know, driving off duty to the old lady's house. I loved it. I loved that idea. And then so you're introducing Mudge, and I think people that are watching it that know the first one, it's like, okay, oh, there's Ethan, so a familiar face, right? And then, oh, Mudge, oh, now we know who Mudge is, and he's the bridge to Mira that he's dating, and then you get introduced to Mira, who did a fantastic job. But Justin, who played Mudge, was great. He was such a trooper. He
made it
was the first
multi-dimensional,
cast.
because, right? He was the
He was
first
the first one cast, and he
we
stayed.
set it up. We, you know, in the first movie, you have a perception of Mudge, but on the phone, you don't even hear him. Just by what Ethan's character is saying to him, like, oh, he is this type of person. And then when you actually meet him, and like, yeah, it's there, but then there's all these other layers to him, like, oh yeah, I could see why people, you know.
Yeah, he's
and
kind of a playboy.
that's what I like, and I love when actors, when they bring in something, they bring in dimensions. Justin's really nothing like Mudge. He's not a playboy.
Yeah.
Generally nice guy. If anything, I had to push him, like, push this line a little bit more, and all that, because he had all these different layers, like, you know, and I like that, making characters richer and fuller based on what the actors bring to it. Like the writer has a vision, the director, but then the actor fills in all of the it's like you get a skeleton, and then all those three, the writer, director, and actor, fill in the meat on the skeleton, and I love that.
And what do you think about Kathy the familiar character, coming from playing Ma and Mrs. Wilson in Out of Light? What, as a director, what were your challenges for Kathy?
Well, I think it's because it's a completely different. He's asking me the questions, Kevin.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
He asked the question, but I'm looking at Kevin, so I'm like this way.
I love talking about the actors in this movie.
Kathy is multi-talented in theater and movies, and like she was in her brother's McMullen and all that, so she really has a lot of experience. For her, it was, and she would ask these questions because she was a certain type in her first movie, but they, you know, what happened in the first movie changed her in this movie. So you sort of see shades of the old character from the first movie, but then you have all of this, she sort of goes crazy. I have to tell you, I don't think anyone can do crazy like Kathy. And I think for actors, like in that panel yesterday, right? Let's not discuss, like playing crazy. It's so much fun. You get to. So I think actors like being crazy, get to sort of cut loose and all that. So I think she enjoyed both movies. With this movie, because she get to be sort of quirky. Like she had all these different, like Michael said, there's like a menacing thread coming to her character as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all that. You have like, you know, this devoted mother, insanity, and a menace, all intertwined. So I think interwoven together. So I sort of love that.
Kathy did great, like I said, playing victim and the aggressor. And if I may, for Maddie Jo, for MJ we call her, she was the only actress that we actually cast through a Skype audition. Mm-hmm. And we had to go through hundreds of people.
Because
we went through
we put an ad out backstage, so Manhattan actors. So we got a lot, and so we sort of had to condense it. Like, all right, submit video auditions, and we were surprised because we're indie and all that. But they, you know, a lot of people were willing to come out to Long Island and all that. So we had like, I want to say 300. Was it 300?
It was something like that. Yeah,
I think 300 people who expressed interest in it. From the 300, we whittled it down. I think we got 30.
Yeah, not 300 audition, but 300 like responded.
And then we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
Like we had a list of questions for them and all that. And out of that, we came down to 30 video submissions. And then from 30, then we had a top 10 people audition. And Maddie Jo came in, and it was funny, we both watched it separately. We watched the video submissions separately in separate homes. And then we would get together and say, what do you think about, and we came together, it was like, I don't know if you're gonna, you know, this is my top choice, but this is my top choice, and it was the same one, it was Maddie Jo. We both picked her separately watching her in separate locations. So
Yeah, she just had such a charisma, and she just like it just came off the screen, and we both agreed. So and
I actually changed the script to fit her, because in this original script it was written that the character was going to be it's a Hispanic character, and the way they add were, you know, we got different people who applied or whatever, and Maddie Jo's definitely not Hispanic. She's not
yeah, but
Hispanic.
even though she keeps
But,
the Hispanic name.
yeah, she has an
So you
Hispanic
don't know-
name, but that gets resolved. That gets resolved in the trilogy. But she's not Hispanic. But we were so taken by. I'm like, you know what? We can modify that. We can, you know, change this a little bit, and like I altered the whole script a little bit because I wanted to accommodate it, because I'm like, she's the role.
She was so good.
She added.
And this was her first horror. She's only done comedy, so she was very self-conscious. She kept asking Patrick, "Did I scream right? You know, or did I look? Does this look campy? You know." We were trying to reassure her that it looked great, and all the actors, like from me in the editing room, I was like, wow. I was really taken back by how, all actors should be in the moment.
Right.
They listen really well. And if you notice in Out of Light, there's a lot of reactionary shots because we just loved the reaction that MJ was given or Justin was given, right? It's like a lot of times when Justin's talking, you see MJ and
So we
she's
did that
listening.
just because we weren't planning on doing that, but what the actors gave us, it was sort of like, you know, he's talking, but look at the way Kevin's looking. We got to get this.
Yeah.
Let's focus on that reaction.
Yeah. So
I
it was great. Like looking back, there was a lot of challenges. Things took longer, say, for instance, than it would have.
Recasting, last minute recasting.
Last minute
always fun.
recasting, but in the end, we're very, very happy with it.
Yeah, just great, and
Yeah.
hopefully it all comes out. People, it comes out to the screen. The creative energy, the positive creative energy shows up in people when they watch it. Film is still Out of Light, and you're looking forward to Dawn of Shadows sometime most likely in 2020. It'll be coming out, and other things. So, we love it here. We love this festival. This is the first festival that we actually went to see. So we were so excited. So now it's just like, we're going back, we're going to see Kevin, we're going to Captain Wicked. We love the state of Georgia, like we're driving around, and it's just like, this is beautiful, you know, we just love it. So, you know, we definitely want to keep on coming back. So we got to keep on making movies so we can keep it coming back.